You look at your cat every day and you think you're doing everything right. The best food money can buy sits in their bowl, the kind with glossy packaging and promises of a longer, healthier life. You trust it because you want to, because loving them means giving them the best. But what if I told you, the real secret to your cat's health isn't in that expensive bag at all? What if the foods that could quietly add years to your cat's life are already sitting in your kitchen? Ignored, overlooked, almost forgotten. That's the part that stings a little. Because it means the difference between a cat that slowly fades too soon, and one that stays playful, curious, alive for years longer, might be something incredibly simple. And once you hear this, you can't unhear it. Let me take you into a story most cat owners never get to hear. Not from ads. Not from labels. But from what actually happens behind closed doors, where people who truly understand cats make very different choices. Imagine a quiet kitchen early in the morning. A veterinarian stands there, not in a white coat, not in a clinic, but at home. Their own cat weaves around their legs, soft, trusting, completely unaware of how much care goes into every small decision. And instead of pouring kibble into a bowl, they reach for something else. Something simple. Something real. Cooked salmon. It doesn't look fancy. There's no branding, no bold claims printed across it. Just a small, clean piece of fish. Warm, soft, carefully prepared. No salt, no oil, nothing extra. Just pure nourishment. And as that cat leans in, curious, something deeper is happening, something you can't see. Because inside that tiny meal, there's a quiet kind of repair taking place. Not dramatic, not instant, but steady. Like tiny hands reaching into the body, gently fixing what time has worn down. The heart grows stronger. The brain stays sharper. The kidneys, those fragile, overworked organs, find relief they didn't even know they needed. And over time, something almost unbelievable happens. Cats that receive this kind of care don't just live. They last. They stay. Longer than expected. Longer than anyone dares to hope. Picture an older cat, maybe one like yours. Slower now. Sleeping more. The playful spark fading just a little each year. You start to notice it in small ways first. The jump onto the couch isn't as easy. The curiosity dulls. The quiet moments grow longer. Now imagine something changing. Not overnight. Not like magic. But within weeks there's a shift. A subtle one at first. The way they lift their head a little quicker when you walk in. The way their eyes follow movement again. And one day, almost without warning, they jump. Not perfectly. Not like a kitten. But enough to make you stop and stare. Because for a moment it feels like time moved backward. And that's when it hits you. This wasn't about feeding them more. It was about feeding them right. But salmon is only the beginning. There's something even more surprising waiting just beyond it. Something so ordinary you probably have it in your fridge right now and never once thought it could matter this much. An egg. Simple. Fragile. Easy to ignore. But inside it is everything. Every building block your cat's body quietly depends on. The kind of nourishment that doesn't just maintain life, but restores it. Muscles that have weakened begin to rebuild. Fur that lost its shine starts to glow again. The body, worn down by time, finds the strength to repair itself piece by piece. And then something almost emotional happens. Cats that had stopped playing, start again. You see it in the smallest ways. A sudden burst of energy. A playful swipe at something invisible. A flicker of personality you thought had faded for good. And it doesn't feel like coincidence. Feels like you got a piece of them back. That's the part no one prepares you for. The quiet regret that creeps in. The thought that maybe, just maybe, this could have started sooner. But there's also something else. Hope. Because it's not too late. And as you begin to realize how powerful these simple choices are, you start to wonder, what else has been hiding in plain sight all along? That question lingers longer than you expect. It follows you into your kitchen, into those quiet moments when your cat is curled up nearby, unaware that you're starting to see things differently now. You glance at the same shelves, the same fridge, but it doesn't feel the same anymore. It feels like there are answers hidden in plain sight, waiting for you to notice them. And then you come across something most people would never think twice about. Chicken liver. For many, it's just another ingredient. Something small, maybe even unappealing. But for your cat, it holds a kind of power that feels almost unfair in its simplicity. Just a tiny amount once a week and something remarkable begins to unfold. It starts in the eyes. You may not notice it at first, but your cat does. The world becomes sharper in the dark. Shapes are clearer. Movements easier to track. It's like someone quietly turned the lights back on in places that had started to fade. And with that clarity comes confidence. A subtle return of the hunter that lives inside every cat. Then comes the energy. That slow, heavy stillness you had grown used to begins to lift. The long hours of doing nothing, the hesitation before every movement, they start to loosen their grip. Your cat moves a little more freely, a little more willingly. And suddenly, they're not just existing in the space around you, they're engaging with it again. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. But it's real. And just when you think you're starting to understand how these small changes ripple through your cat's life, something even more unexpected appears. Sweet potato. It doesn't sound like something a cat would need. It doesn't feel important. But inside it, there's a quiet kind of protection taking place. The kind you don't see, because it's working deep beneath the surface. It's not about energy or movement this time. It's about time itself. Because while your cat eats, something is happening on a level you'll never witness directly. Damage that has built up over years starts to slow. The invisible wear and tear that comes with aging begins to lose its momentum. And for the first time, it feels like you're not just caring for your cat in the present, you're protecting their future. That's a powerful feeling. But not everything is about the future. Some things change almost immediately. Like pumpkin. It's so ordinary it almost feels ridiculous to mention. The same simple thing people use once a year, tucked away and forgotten. But for your cat, it can transform something that has quietly caused discomfort for far too long. Digestion. The thing no one talks about, until it becomes a problem. You've seen it before. The uneasiness. The small signs that something isn't right. The hairballs, the discomfort, the moments where your cat seems just a little off. And then, with something as simple as this, it starts to ease. Gently. Naturally. It's not a sudden fix. It's more like a reset. A quiet clearing away of what doesn't belong. And within days your cat feels lighter. More comfortable in their own body. They move without that hidden tension, that subtle discomfort you didn't even realize was there. And when your cat feels better, everything changes. They rest more peacefully. They eat with more ease. They exist without that constant, invisible irritation. It's a kind of relief you can see, even if you never fully understood the problem before. Then comes something that surprises almost everyone. Yogurt. It goes against everything you've probably heard. Cats and dairy don't mix, right? That's what we've always believed. But this is different. This is something that has been carefully transformed, broken down into something gentle, something your cat's body can actually accept. And once it does, something extraordinary begins inside. Not on the surface. Not where you can easily see it. But deep within where health truly begins. Your cat's body starts building a stronger defense. Quietly. Patiently. Like an army preparing itself without ever making a sound. The small issues that used to return again and again, they stop. The cycle breaks. And for the first time in a long time, there's a sense of stability. A sense that things are finally working the way they should. And then, just when you think you've seen enough to understand the pattern, something almost beautiful enters the picture. Blueberries. Tiny. Soft. Easy to overlook. But inside them is something that feels almost like memory itself. Because as your cat eats them, something happens that goes beyond the physical. It reaches into the mind. Into the place where recognition lives. Where familiarity, comfort, and connection are stored. And slowly, gently, those connections begin to strengthen again. A cat that once seemed distant, starts to notice you more. Their gaze lingers a little longer. Their reactions feel a little more intentional. It's as if a fog you didn't fully see, begins to lift. And in those moments, it doesn't feel like you're just feeding your cat. It feels like you're bringing them back to you. Piece by piece. And now, with everything you've seen so far, one thought becomes impossible to ignore. How many of these quiet, powerful changes have been waiting for you all along? By now, something has shifted inside you. You're not just hearing information anymore, you're feeling it. You're picturing your own cat in every moment, wondering what could change, what could come back, what might still be saved. And that's when you realize, this isn't about doing everything at once. It's about understanding that even the smallest choices can quietly reshape your cat's life. And some of those choices are so simple they almost don't feel important, until you see what they do. Take green beans. They don't look like much. Light, plain, almost forgettable. But inside your cat's body they begin doing something that feels almost like a cleanse. Not harsh, not overwhelming, just a steady clearing of what doesn't belong. The kidneys, those silent workers that carry so much of the burden, finally get a kind of support they rarely receive. And when that pressure eases, everything feels lighter. Cats that once seemed tired, uninterested, distant, begin to show small sparks again. A return of appetite. A little more curiosity. A sense that their body isn't struggling the way it used to. And while you may never see the full picture of what's happening inside them, you feel the difference in every small interaction. Then there's something even more familiar. Plain chicken. It's probably one of the most common foods you've ever handled, something you've never thought twice about. But for your cat, it becomes a kind of quiet shield. A protection you can't see, but one that stands between them and the illnesses that used to come too easily. You start to notice it over time. Fewer sick days. Faster recovery. A resilience that wasn't there before. And it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels steady. Reliable. Like your cat's body has finally found the strength to defend itself the way it was meant to. And then, something unexpected. Carrots. Not for nutrition in the way you might expect, but for something almost mechanical. As your cat chews, there's a gentle scraping, a natural cleaning that happens without stress or force. The buildup that slowly forms over time begins to fade away. And one day you notice it. That unpleasant breath you had gotten used to, gone. The hesitation during meals, gone. Your cat eats more comfortably, more confidently. And it's one of those changes that seems small, until you realize how much better they must feel every single day because of it. But what comes next goes deeper than comfort. Spinach. It's soft, simple, easy to mix in. But within your cat's body, it begins to support something much bigger than a single function. It's like a quiet boost to everything at once. Organs working more smoothly. Energy flowing more freely. The signs of aging, softening just a little. And then you see it. A cat that once seemed older than their years, moving with a bit more ease. Resting but not as heavily. Existing but with more presence. It's not about turning back time completely, it's about easing the weight of it. And sometimes, that's more than enough. Then comes asparagus. Strange, unexpected, but powerful in a way that feels almost unreal. It reaches into the same delicate places, the kidneys, the joints, and brings relief where there once was strain. Movement becomes easier. Discomfort begins to loosen its grip. And your cat, without knowing why, simply feels better. And when a cat feels better, they live differently. They engage. They respond. They connect. That connection, that's what all of this is really about, isn't it? Because every small improvement leads back to one thing, you. The way they look at you. The way they follow you from room to room. The way they choose to stay close, not out of need, but out of comfort. And then, just when you think you've seen the full picture, something even deeper appears. Coconut oil. A gentle healing that shows on the outside, skin calming, fur growing back, irritation fading, but also works quietly within, restoring balance in ways you never fully see. Beets. A soft support for the heart, for the flow of life itself, helping everything move just a little more smoothly, a little more efficiently. Chia seeds. Tiny, almost invisible, yet carrying something that touches the very core of life, where aging begins and somehow begins to slow. And then, chicken heart. A food so small, so easily overlooked, yet filled with something your cat's body recognizes instantly. Strength. Recovery. A second chance where there once felt like there was none. You see it in the way they stand, the way they move, the way they exist with more certainty in their own body. And finally, the one that feels almost impossible to believe. Bone marrow. It doesn't look extraordinary. There's nothing about it that suggests what it can do. But inside, it carries something rare. Something that doesn't just support life but seems to awaken it. And this is where everything changes. Because this isn't just about feeding anymore. It's about giving your cat more time. More mornings where they greet you. More quiet nights where they curl up beside you. More small, ordinary moments that don't feel important now, but will mean everything one day. And maybe that's the hardest part to accept. That so much of what we think matters, doesn't. And so much of what truly matters, is simple, quiet, and already within reach. So now the question isn't whether these things work. The question is, what will you do with this? Because your cat won't ask for it. They won't tell you what they need. They'll just trust you, the way they always have. And maybe, just maybe, this is one of those moments where that trust becomes something more. Something that gives them not just a better life, but a longer one.